Okay, coffee ingested. Step 9, bootcamp career simulation to help some fellow classmates. We are going to create a PowerShell script that gives a list of all running services on the target new hire computer and puts the output of that list into a file named runningservices.txt. A lot of different ways to do this. Each way, as it adheres to better best practices, increases in complexity. I'm going to try and keep it simple to start. I might or might not add to it as I will start fumbling and have to troubleshoot a bit. So nonetheless, let's get started. I've got my own tutorial set up here to get it started. I'm going to undo my previous work a little bit so that you can follow along and delete this. So let's get started. We need to create a list of running services, output that list to a text file. We need to target the new hire computer. Ideally, I would set this up as a script that can run through the administrator's computer and target remote devices connected to the network so that it would be more dynamic and you wouldn't have to go to the new hire's computer and run the script locally. However, that's where it starts increasing in complexity. So we're going to avoid that. First thing I'm going to do is just simply use the local disk C drive in the new hire's computer, create a new file, or folder rather. File is going to be the text file, a folder being scripts, and there we go. I'm going to go ahead and open up PowerShell now. I'm logged in as fstat. Oh, I'm logged in as John Doe still. Let's see if it works. John Doe has read-write privileges. He might not have execution privileges, however. So on that note, I am going to switch user. I don't want to sign into my Microsoft account, but it's not the point. All right. Switching user, other user. I wish I would save these users I keep logging in as instead of the most recent one only. I'm sure there's a way to customize that. All right, signing in as administrator to avoid any policies that might prevent use of script execution. There was in a previous video when I created an Active Directory organizational unit and linked a group policy object that within the group policy object we disabled the new hire computer user from being able to access command line, and within that policy you can enable or disable use of script execution. That threw me for a loop and I had to go back into my domain controller and let execution on the new hire computer be performed. I think that's still active, but I'll pop in later to show you that. I think that's what it was. If I'm wrong about it, correct me please in the comments. Constructive criticism is highly encouraged. Alright, so we're running PowerShell. We want to change directory into our home directory. Actually, we want to change to root here, which is C. The tilde change directory to tilde is changed to home. Change directory to the / here is changed to root. That's kind of reminiscent or a throwback to Linux commands. Seems like PowerShell is more closely related to Linux commands than command prompt. Let's see if we can use ls and dir, but it uses some of those commands interchangeably. Nonetheless, I'm seeing script. Let's see if we can tab cd scripts. It adds a bunch of extra stuff. Current directory is the dot, and the backslashes are Windows' way of separating paths, folders, and files. It Always throws me off because I'm used to the / slashes in Linux. Let's change. We've got nothing in here yet, but we can check anyway. Nothing outputs, nothing's there. We could try LSA and see hidden files potentially. It doesn't like that though. All right, let's type clear and go ahead and perform our first step here, creating the PowerShell script. I was creating it at first, just right-clicking in the Explorer within the scripts folder, creating a text file, but it kept adding the .txt extension. I didn't feel like dealing with that. So going in this way and creating a file with this particular path. I'm using a, oh, thanks so much for that, Windows. I love getting ads on my operating system that I pay for. Not that I pay for this one in particular, but goodness gracious. All the time, just always being sold to. I have here an absolute path all the way from the C drive to the file. As you saw before, I could probably do, // Actually, I'm already in the directory I need, so I could probably just say get running scripts. No, I need services. I also have a typo that I just threw in there. Not scripts, but I need running services. So that's what I'm going to create. It's going to be a .ps1, which is a PowerShell script, which will enable me to execute on this file. So I'm reviewing new item type is going to be file, the path is, let's see if it needs an absolute path or if it'll create it like that. Looks like it did it just fine. Let's double check. It does exist there, so now we could go into File Explorer and take a look at that from another direction. There it is. So now we have a PowerShell type file, a script file. I can go ahead and open this, open with Notepad, since we don't have a code editor on here. I like to use VS Code as my IDE on my code editor, but you can use a text editor if you're real old school and you don't want any sort of linting or syntax help. Good way to learn, I guess. So we need to add the script to the file. When we add this, we're not yet running it. We're just getting it ready to be run. So let me go ahead and maximize this. A get service command piped into specifying or filtering down the service into what are the running services, and then piping that output into a command to take the output, create a file with this file path, and it's going to be under the running services.txt file. We'll go ahead and save that, Control S or file save, X out of that. Let's play with this a little bit just to see what we're expecting to see on the back end. Let's just do get service first, and then all the stuff, all the things. So that outputted this first command. Now we want to take that output and feed it via the pipe into where object. This is going to filter it down further, curly braces. I like to create both opening and closing at the same time because I often forget if I don't. ADHD for the win. Status. I need a dot here. I don't quite understand what the underscore dot status means here. Must be like a dynamic variable type thing with that $sign is what that might indicate to me. Please provide some insight in the comments if you are more knowledgeable on that particular subject matter. Running. So status is running. and that basically is going to pull the first column and say which of these are running and filter it down that way. So let's press enter again and see what the list looks like. Come on, it's taking its time. Enter, buddy. There we go, all the running stuff, and it's still a pretty decent list. But now that we know that that is outputting correctly, let us create the output directory within the scripts directory. I'm not sure if it would automatically create this with the current command. I'm not sure if you have to explicitly tell it that if this doesn't exist to create it. I'm curious to try it and just find out. We might have to save ourselves a step here. So let's try it. Out file. Nope, we don't want that side, bud. Oh, almost hit enter. That would have been horrendous. Catastrophic. No, it wouldn't be. It'd be fine. Just add extra noise. Out file, file path. We're in the scripts directory, so we can say current directory output running services. I'll just keep it the same as I have it there. Services. I think that's the format they specified in the naming convention. They specified here. Yep, underscore is lowercase. All right, with that get service, we filter it down by running services, and then we take that list and output it to this file path. So let's run it and see if it yells at us for not having that existing. Do it. Do it. Do it. Come on. There it is. Could not find a part of the path. All right, so it does not create this folder automatically. Let's go ahead and create that. And then eventually we'll get to the point where we just execute this script to have it output. So folder output. And then let's test this. So basically I'm going through each step of the process and testing that it works before going through the next step. So I'm doing it manually, but this whole command lives in that script that I'm going to run in that file called get running services. But let's go ahead and run it. No news is good news. Generally, there's no output here. I could have said like added an ampersand or something probably and said echo successful output or some crap, but let's just see if it output. Yep, okay, so we see the file here. We know that every step of this script works. Let's go ahead and, I don't know if it'll overwrite this, so I'm going to delete it. I'm going to run the script. I can do it two different ways. I could type in that, and I can probably shorten it since I'm in the directory. Get, let's just check. Let me clear this. Clear dir get running services. I've got it there. So let's try dot backslash get. Now I can try to tab it. Yep. Let's run it. Cannot be loaded because running scripts is disabled on this system. All right, so this is us running into our group policy object that disabled running scripts. Running scripts is disabled on this system. For more information, check your execution policies. So I'm going to use Gemini. You're killing me. I just right clicked. I didn't copy anything, my guy. Control C. All right. I'm doing this to give me some more context before I jump in and start exploring. Oh, geez, I thought I didn't have my mic up. Okay. So I'm going to run this just to have a template of where to look when I get into the group policy management, because it's a lot of crap and it's not the easiest to sift through. I am on a remote user computer. There are GPOs applied to it via the domain controller. I tried to run a script user computer and got the above error. Which policy would potentially disable script execution on this remote computer? Let's see, most likely culprit, a group policy setting under Windows components PowerShell. Is there anything else? Local machine policy, user policy, what to do. So let's jump into our server and explore our policies, our domain controller, and explore our policies to be more specific. Come now. Oh my God. Thank you. Okay. X out of event viewer. Let's move this over a bit and open up not Active Directory, but group policy management. All right, let's check out a report. And the first thing it thinks is that we're going to find it in the Windows PowerShell. So that would be under computer configuration, under Windows components. But you know, I don't see Windows components or administrative templates here. It could also be, but less likely, supposedly, the local machine policy. Less probable, user policy, setting execution. I want to say that's where it is, but let's take a look. Let's show all and scroll down. Audit login events. That's our message that pops up. Firewall and advanced security. That's what allows us to see the remote computer in event viewer. Remove run. There it is, I think. Prevent access to command prompt. Disable the command prompt script processing as well. Command prompt, does that also apply to PowerShell? It's off. Remove run menu from start menu. Prevent access to the command prompt. Let's click this and see what it says. Prevents users from running the interactive command prompt. This also determines whether batch files can run on the computer. It doesn't say .ps1. If you enable this policy, it's going to give an explanation. Do not prevent the computer from running batch files. Note, do not prevent the computer from running batch files if the computer uses log on, log off, startup, or shut down batch file scripts. We're not doing that. We've got our drive mapped for the shared folder there. Interestingly, am I logged in via fstack? Yeah. I wonder if I can log in via the other administrator login and try that. So let's look again before we jump too quickly to the next thing. Local machine policy. Local policies, audit login events, advanced security, file transfer, not configured. None of this is configured. Remote event viewer, Shouldn't apply anything there. Remove run, prevent access to the command prompt. I'm gonna try, I don't know what would be blocking it. Let's see. So user policies list, likely. User specific group policy that sets an execution policy. Change the turn on script execution setting. I'm going to look that one up. I'm going to dig in a little bit and see. I don't see it here. Can I control F on this bad boy? No, why would I be able to? Let's do edit and let's check user configuration. Where does that live? Windows settings, scripts, no, not there. Policies, Windows settings, scripts. I don't think it would be there. Security settings. Let's widen this up. Administrative. Start menu and taskbar. This is, I think, where the remove run menu from start menu. Removes the run command. Users with extended keyboards can't run the Windows R. I don't think that's it. Let's see if there's any other ones here. Nope. System. Prevent access to the command prompt. This is the one I thought it was. I would expect it to say PS1 here, along with the batch files, but it doesn't. This policy prevents users from running interactive command prompts. Important security considerations. Okay, so how to check remotely if possible. Group policy management is the best way to check. I wonder what RSAT tools are. You can browse the group policies, turn on script execution. I wonder if I disabled this somewhere or something, but we'll check in here first. Policies. Can we turn on filters yet? No. I don't understand when you can turn on filters. Administrative tools, we can add filters there. And then it pops down there some reason. It makes no sense. Another snafu by Microsoft team. Turn on script. Let's do exactly what it says. And do an exact match. Managed. Any, configured, any. I'm just going to do any on all of it. Windows components, PowerShell, not configured. Turn on script execution. This lets you configure the script execution policy, controlling which scripts are allowed to run. Looks like we need to enable this. It wasn't configured, which is surprising to me that it's defaulting to disallowing script execution. Now, what's the difference between these policies? I don't know how to ensure something is signed by a trusted publisher, so for now we're going to do something that would be a bad idea. Allowing all scripts would be the worst idea. Anywhere a script is executed from would run. A local script, we are running it locally currently within the user's machine, so this should be the best choice without jumping through any extra hoops. So we've turned on that policy and we would see it here. We should refresh and go down. Let's see where this sucker lives now. Audit login events. Going quick. Speed reading. Turn on script execution enabled. Allow local scripts and remote sign scripts. So I might add that to my run book as a troubleshooting tip. But what I need to do next is force that update through. GP update force. And I will, well, that's convenient, isn't it? I was going to say I'm going to restart it, but I think that might do the trick for me. So, all right, let's get logged in to this end and attempt it again. Like what you see? So weird, Microsoft. Oh, come on! That's what I get for talking trash. Like what you see? Click on this for an advertisement right when you log into your computer. You can't escape. No matter what you pay for, unless I bet you can buy a premium version of Windows that disables all that. If they haven't thought of that, they will soon. All right, let's just run it again and see. Heck. I'm gonna try another restart, an official restart instead of just a random disconnection. Maybe it's like cached in that disconnection or something. Reloaded. All right, so I think we found out that this was probably the issue. I'm gonna update my runbook while this is taking its darndest time to restart. Or check the turn on within your linked GPO. So it should let me run, with everything I set up, it should let me run a local script. Yeah. I was able to run the command manually. I'm going to run PowerShell as an administrator. I'm logging in as an administrator, so I have elevated privileges. Run as administrator. Yes. Change directory to root, cd scripts, check it. Let's try to run this bad boy. So I pressed tab to autofill that since it was the only one with the get R in that directory. Busting my butt here, boys and gals. Security error, PS security exception. I wonder if that means policy or something. Unauthorized access. Cannot be loaded because running scripts is disabled on this system. So I wonder, on the group policy manager, was there a user and a computer-wide policy? Not that one. Show all. Needs to show up. Passed right by it. It is in user configuration. Is there one within computer configuration that is also blocking the heckin' thing? Preferences, Windows. Just trying to match. I don't remember exactly where it was. Policies, administrative, templates, filter on. Why you gotta jump down there, bud? Are we in Why you keep dropping me down to user, dog? What's up with that? And that's frustrating that it does that, you know? So we're now in the computer configuration policies. We have to enable this one as well. So now it's enabled on the computer level, so anyone that logs into the computer, oh my gosh, is going to be able to run local scripts. Any computer that's within that organizational unit, which is John HRPC, anyone that logs on there should be able to do it now. Any particular users that sign in also have the permission. I will update, turn on script execution both within computer and user. Silly. Alright. I just so want to rant a little bit about Windows right now, but I'm going to hold back. Man, I don't know. They don't understand user experience. That's all I'll say. GP update, forced to send that computer level policy through. Updating policy, first one does computers, second one does users. Computer policy update completed successfully. We set it as the script execution policy to run locally, and with signed scripts, we would be running it locally, so that should work both at this level and the user level now. I'm going to test it without restarting. I'm going to cry. I'm going to restart the whole darn thing. I wonder if it'll be in that 503 error. That actually seems to be a good sign on this system, that it's pushing some different updates through. Let's look up 503 error for now while we're waiting. Service unavailable. HTTP status code means the server is unavailable to handle a request. Common causes: server maintenance, overloaded server, server-side errors. I think it technically would count as server maintenance because we've updated something on the server side. It doesn't seem to be doing it right now anyway. I digress. Waiting. Retry, check later, check status of website. Always blame the website first. Google doesn't load. Is Google down? Oh my gosh. No, it's probably you. It's probably you. Alright. Who we logged in as? Thanks for the advertisements. FStack. So we're logged in as administrator. Holy heck, I hope this works. Holy heck, Batman. Alright. CD, scripts. We're memorizing things now. Dir. Run this sucker, please. Tab. Run. No news is good news. That's so great. Let's explore. CD output. Dir. There it is. Look at that one. Boy, what a process. The safer your systems are, the more of a process it is. I can see why systems in production get lax on their security, because it takes extra work. And then hackers take advantage of that laziness. So there we go. So let's review. On step 9, we needed to create a PowerShell script That gives a list of all running services and puts it in a file named runningservices.txt. We've got our txt file. I put it in an output folder within the scripts directory. Folder and directory I'm using interchangeably, wantonly, recklessly doing so. In the C drive for scripts on the local machine, if we wanted to set this up via the domain controller, pardon me for closing my eyes, I'm a very visual person, I'm visualizing. If we want to set it up through the domain controller, we'd probably put the scripts folder into the shared drive. It's not showing up now, it's shown up before, but there should be a shared drive here. The H drive for HR, which contains the HR shared folder. We would possibly throw the script in there or into a different folder with separate permissions than the HR shared folder. We would force allow remote executions on the local machine through PowerShell. And then we would go into the domain controller and set up a more cumbersome script that invokes the command remotely, specifying the computer name, johnhrpc.contoso.com, setting up an output path for the file ultimately. Within the invocation and the execution of the command and the output, for some reason on that side you need to perform some sort of command that converts the script into some raw format, and then it can understand it. So it's a lot more of a process. Hopefully that primes your brain to understand it. If you do want to take those extra steps, you would want to in a production environment or an actual organization. That way you're not having to borrow the new hire's computer and run this script and then email yourself this text file. That would be silly, though I'm sure it happens. Okay, I'm sure I said something wrong. Leave me a message in the comments with corrections, insights, tips, resources. Constructive feedback is kindly requested. Non-constructive feedback is vehemently rejected. Learn good, fam. Do your best out there.